Ever notice how you stop yourself from moving forward with your goals, even when you know exactly what to do and you have everything you need to do it? Carl Jung, a psychologist who studied human behavior, believed that we're not just made up of who we think we are, but also the parts we avoid or ignore. He called that hidden side the shadow. The shadow is made up of parts of yourself you've learned to hide. That might include fear, insecurity, or memories you haven't fully processed. But it can also include things like confidence or ambition if you were taught those parts of you were too much. Jung believed that the real growth comes from facing the shadow, not avoiding it. So instead of trying to fix yourself by adding more routines or being more disciplined, you actually grow by being honest about who you already are. That includes parts that you've suppressed or disconnected from. So fear, second-guessing yourself, or pulling yourself back for no obvious reason, it is all connected to the parts of you that you haven't dealt with yet. Let's get into it.
So I had a conversation with my closest girlfriend just last week. I was basically opening up and sharing with her that in my life currently today, I feel very, very stagnant. She knows me best enough to give me some feedback. You know, she's like, I see you being consistent. I see you showing up, but I know that there are things that you can be doing. You have got to sit with yourself and really think about what more can I do? And, you know, we opened up the conversation. It wasn't so much about more like, can you wake up at 5 a.m. and create 20 pieces of content a day? It was about doing more of the right thing. It made me reflect on myself and my journey, and I came to this realization that my fear isn't so much about the fear of being seen, and it's not really about the fear of failure. I am someone who is fearful of showing up every day, being consistent, putting in 100% effort, and that effort not equating to real results that align with the vision that I have. And this is something that I've known about myself for years, but I finally gave myself the opportunity to dig a little bit deeper into what that even means. So I literally put into ChatGPT this fear, and I'm gonna read to y'all what their feedback was. So ChatGPT said, "This is the deeper fear that none of this will matter. It's tied to the belief that no matter how much you do, it won't lead to progress, success, or recognition. It creates resistance to starting, showing up, or finishing because your brain wants to avoid the emotional letdown of wasted effort." It goes on to say that this is also considered outcome-based anxiety, where your self-worth is attached to results and not the process. So you delay taking action because you fear that doing everything right won't give you the return you're expecting. So you protect yourself by doing nothing or by doing it halfway. And I feel like when I read that, it finally clicked for me because, like I mentioned, for the month of June, I posted just about every day on TikTok. Every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And so by speaking with my friend, that's how she was able to give me that feedback. So if you are someone who feels like you can resonate with the fear that your effort won't pay off, here are a few things that you and I can both do. We can do it together. You can subscribe to this channel. You can hold my hand through the process. We can stay connected. We can talk about it in the comments. You know, whatever works for us to tap in with each other. These are a few things that we can do to overcome this fear. The first thing is to detach from the outcome. I guess I would consider myself results driven. The thing is, you just have to know and trust and have faith that the work that you're putting into whatever the thing that you're doing, if it's working out, if it's dating someone, if it's creating a business, creating content, you just have to have that faith that if I am doing the work, I will reap what I'm sowing. Another thing that you can do when it comes to detaching from that outcome is to shift your focus on the results and more on the transformation that's happening. So you set out on this journey to create a business, right? You may not end up exactly where you want to be, but going through this journey, you as a person, you're going to shift, you're going to transform. There are things about you that are going to change. You're going to unlearn a lot of different things, especially if you come from a traditional or corporate background. Becoming an entrepreneur is really going to test you. I think in any journey that you set out to become something more than yourself, you as a person, you're going to shift. Maybe you're going to learn that I feel most energized in the morning. Therefore, it makes more sense for me to do my best work in the morning. Therefore, I got to get to sleep by a certain time so that I can get up by a certain time so that I can produce, so that I can learn how to show up consistently as my best self. The next thing that you can do to finally detach from this fear that your efforts won't pay off is to start keeping track of smaller wins. Sometimes your goal is just too big to truly understand where you are in the journey, right? So again, losing weight. Maybe you set a goal to lose 10 pounds in 3 months. Is it really realistic? Sure. But what's more important is that while you're going through this journey of reaching those 10 pounds, you should be looking at the smaller wins. I said that I wasn't going to eat meat for 3 days. Monday through Wednesday, I didn't eat any meat. That's my win. Maybe your goal was I'm going to drink 3 gallons a day. Each day, you should be able to check off that box that you drank the amount of water that you said you was gonna drink, right? Even becoming a content creator, saying that you're gonna post a piece of content every day is just simply not enough. You can become more intentional by saying, I am going to create 3 pieces of content that are aligned with 3 different areas that I want to achieve this week. I want to promote a new offer. I want to drive engagement on a topic that is popular, or simply I want to show up differently in this space so that I can see if this works for my platform. I love this idea of tracking smaller wins because it allows you to prove to yourself that your efforts are truly not wasted. So things don't always seem like they're holding much weight at first, but over time, those efforts will truly start to add up. As long as you're being intentional, as long as you're being aligned with purpose, and as long as you are clear on who it is that you are becoming at the end of that goal, those things add more value than just saying like, I'm gonna post every day for the month of June. And then by the end of the month, you realize you posted every day, but you posted a lot of nonsense, or you posted things that truly did not capture and communicate the value that you have to offer. And the last thing that you can do to finally overcome this fear that your efforts will not pay off, and y'all, this is probably the area that is going to probably be most impactful for me, it's accepting that the risk is just a part of doing the work. If there was something that was guaranteed out of any goal that you had set, it wouldn't build anything in you. And I think that when I think of my goals like that, like every goal that you set is not going to come easy to you. There's often a lot of struggle that's going to take place in your story. I think that's probably why I have the ick, because it's like, okay, I'm struggling to grow my audience on social media. I know that I'm good at what I do. I know that I create content well. I know that I edit well. I know that I have a great way of communicating value and showing up in that space. But struggling through it makes me feel like I am performing or trying to prove myself or looking for that validation so that I'm chosen. And that gives me the ick. Wow. Y'all, mind blown. Again, it goes back to having faith. Like if you're doing the work and you're showing up with the right intentions, you just have to trust that like the growth again isn't about what you're gonna get out of it. It's about who you're becoming. Everybody who's gone for something bigger than themselves or something bigger than the program, they have always gone through a period of struggle. And at the end, you probably don't get exactly what you want, but you're always going to get what you deserve, or you're always going to get or become who you need to be. It makes me think of people like Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry, where they shared like on their journey of becoming a comedian, on their journey of becoming a writer, an actor, that they went through periods of times of homelessness. And it's not to say that everybody's going to go through homelessness so that they can become, a highly paid, fill in the blank, whatever you desire to become. Just understanding that there is the risk of facing struggle on a journey of becoming something, on the journey of going through something. You're going to be faced with challenges. Your goal is to figure out who you are becoming and to understand that you are always going to be equipped to overcome those challenges. Will it happen overnight? More than likely, no. But every night adds up. It could be 40 nights. And then eventually you'll reach where you're supposed to be. But you cannot let the fear of challenges, the fear of risk, the fear of failure, if you will, the fear of being seen, the fear of being seen failing, that's a big one. You've got to feel the fear and still push through. Your time, your energy, and your efforts, those are your greatest resources. So if you use those resources with more intention, there's no way you can fail. But you gotta show up, you gotta do the work, and you gotta have that faith. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I hope that you found it valuable to you in your journey. I know I've had a few aha moments myself, just sitting down and talking. But I'm glad I did this. This was a great exercise. I encourage you to do this as well, especially if you are on the journey of creating your own brand, your own business. Definitely set up the camera, get your lighting, and just allow yourself to flow like this. This was a really good exercise. I feel like I was able to unpack and unravel a lot of things for myself, and so I just hope that this translated well over to you. So thank you so much for watching this video. As always, be sure to check out my resources down below in the description box. If you are on the journey of becoming the brand that you desire to be sure to subscribe so that we can stay connected as you become that woman that you desire to be, one habit, one choice, and one day at a time. See you in my next video.